What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now today I have my playtest on the Nike Phantom 6. So this is the first time that I'm wearing the boots on the field, and I'm gonna let you guys know how I feel about them and how they perform. And yeah, so we'll just get right into it. Alright guys, so here we have the cleats on feet, and yeah, they feel very similar to the GX1 more than the GX2. I feel like they're just a little bit wider, not as wide as the GX2, but just a little bit more roomy here in the midfoot and in the toe box. They made the toe box more round instead of being kind of pointy and narrow, which is a nice thing. So the toes don't feel like very narrow, and they're just a little bit more comfortable in my opinion. But the boot overall does have GX1 vibes, which isn't a bad thing just because a lot of people did like that boot. It's not as wide, like I said, as the GX2, but it's still pretty accommodating for a wider foot type. I do have a wider foot, and these fit me really nice. I don't really have any pinching so far, and I'm guessing they're just gonna get even better just because the Flyknit upper does kind of take to the shape of your foot. It does kind of stretch a little, and it does kind of like get softer as you play with them. So I do expect them to get even more comfortable, even though they're already pretty comfortable straight out of the box. But yeah, they feel pretty good. Alright guys, so quick initial thoughts. The grip knit is pretty grippy. Right now it's pretty dry, and yeah, I kind of find myself like tripping over the ball. I just forget how sticky grip knit is. You know, it took me a second to get used to it again, but after that, you know, it's fine. But yeah, it's pretty grippy. I would say it's the same amount as the previous generation. I guess because it's really dry, it just feels even stickier. I'm not sure. But you know, it feels alright. And in terms of the thickness, it's the same thickness as the GX2, so it's not that thick. It's on the thinner side, I would say. I was getting a pressure point here on both sides on the instep, which is weird. I usually never get pressure points right here. I'm not exactly sure why. I feel like the instep is pretty like I don't know, high up, and so like really hugs that part of your foot. I do have like a low arch, so maybe that's why. So if you do have a low arch, just be careful. Here the width is actually pretty nice. It is kind of expanding already. It is molding into the shape of my foot. And that pinch that I did get, you know, it's getting better. I still feel a little, but it's not as bad as it was in the beginning. You know, sole play feels good on AG. I don't feel like I'm getting stuck, even though this is the FG model. But I would recommend just going with the AG. The heel feels okay. It feels less padded than the previous model. So it doesn't feel super chunky, but I feel like it's not holding my heel all that well when I'm sprinting off compared to the previous model. I really like that change to the toe box. Just because it just gives me more like wiggle space and just a little bit more comfortable. It's not like squeezing my toes together. But yeah, they feel pretty good so far. So right now we're just gonna get into some shooting and see how they feel. Alright guys, so that's it for today's playtest on the Phantom 6. Now I think it does make some improvements, especially the shape. The toe box feels really nice, really comfortable. It's not like super low, and so like my toes don't feel like they're being like just squeezed. Not that the GX2 and the GX1 felt uncomfortable, but there was a slight pinch in the toe box, and this one just feels a little bit more free, which is nice. Because the performance pretty good, like what I expected. There's a decent amount of lockdown. The heel feels okay. It feels a little loose compared to the previous model, maybe because there's not like a lot of padding compared to the GX2. I feel like the GX2 had a good amount of padding, and that helped with the lockdown. This time around, there is padding, but it's a little bit less thick, and so I feel like it doesn't like hold your heel all that well. I feel like it was okay. It's not terrible, but I feel like it's a little downgrade compared to the previous model. The grip knit feels pretty grippy. It is grip knit, and it feels a little bit softer compared to the GX2 just because of the way it was like constructed, and it's, you know, these ridges are kind of woven into the upper instead of pressed in, so it feels softer. But for the most part, in terms of the grip, it's very similar, and I find that the feel on the ball, like in terms of the level of grip, is pretty much the same. I don't really feel a difference. So something that I forgot to mention was the striking area, that little bit of different pattern right there in the bone of your foot. And honestly, I didn't really feel it a lot when striking the ball, and that's probably why I didn't mention it. I guess after a while, maybe in the beginning I felt it a little just because I was looking for it, but just after a while of just shooting around, I honestly didn't notice it. I didn't notice if it was like firmer or grippier. Like, yeah, I just didn't really notice it, so I guess it's not that important, which is why I didn't mention it here. I felt like if it was more noticeable, I probably would have mentioned it. But yeah, you guys can see how nice and soft this upper is. And the sole plate, I did wear the FG on AG, and you know, they're way better than the previous model. This sole plate is nice and stiff, but still flexible here in the forefoot. Not too flexible, but it's still nice, and it matches well with the upper. And the Cyclone 360, it is a lot smaller, and so it doesn't feel chunky just because of these conical studs. So these feel really nice. This, you know, I didn't feel like I got stuck, but I could see that obviously there are blades, and you could potentially, you know, get stuck on a really shallow AG pitch. So I would recommend getting the AG version. These, obviously, this colorway doesn't come in an AG, so I just wanted this. But I feel alright. I know my body can handle it, but I wouldn't recommend them on AG. But yeah, overall the Phantom 6, it's what I expected, just because it's very similar to the GX1. It just makes a few adjustments, and I think this is better, just because it is more comfortable, at least for me. The only issue is, like I said, the heel. it feels a little, I don't know, it just doesn't like pinch or like hold on to me all that well, just because there is less padding, and padding is pretty soft. But yeah, I don't know. And the shooting session is pretty short. I just don't have enough time to record. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and hit the bell notifications so you're notified for future videos. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.